Albay have ordered evacuation amid Mayon volcano's unrest.
Senator Erwin Tulfo has filed a bill seeking to cut value-added tax from 12 to 10%.
First in the news, authorities unveiled the new andas that will be used for this year's Traslasyon. It has been redesigned with added safety features to help ensure an orderly and solemn procession. Here's the report.
Days before the actual Traslasyon, authorities unveiled to the public the andas that will be used this year. At first glance, it looks similar to last year's version. The handles or pinga remain in place. These are held by members of the Hijos del Nazareno to guide the carriage. The image of the Black Nazarene is still enclosed in protective glass, which officials say is not easily shattered. One major change this year is the addition of a steering wheel inside the andas, installed for the first time.
Kung mapapansin nyo ito, kahit 4-5 tao, madaling itulak to ngayon eh. Kahit ito wala yung lubid. Pero syempre, kung lalo na kung paahon ng tulay ng Ayala, importante talaga ang lubid.
Up to 5 people can fit inside the andas. Also installed inside are a generator set, fire extinguisher, and electric fans. The number of wheels has been increased to 4 instead of 3.
Itong mga inobasyon na to ay para mas maging maayos yung ating andas at maging handa sa palaging pagdami ng mga deboto. Nakita namin yung dating 3 gulong ay hindi sapat kahit na meron tong 2 balancer sa gilid.
A CCTV camera remains mounted at the back of the andas. The glass enclosure now has a perforated design with multiple holes.
Ang main purpose noon to balance yung temperature sa labas at loob ng glass enclosure to avoid yung o to minimize yung moisture na nagaganap.
Authorities are once again reminding devotees not to climb the andas this year, a reminder closely tied to its new design. The slope sliding design at the front of the andas makes it difficult to climb. Authorities earlier said their goal is to complete the Traslasyon in up to 15 hours. 2 sets of ropes are also on standby in case one snaps during the procession. Meanwhile, the Hijos del Nazareno appealed to fellow devotees to keep the celebration peaceful.
Pakikisa lang po sa kagustuhan ng simbahan para po sa yung darating na kapistahan maging solemn naman po at hindi walang kaguluhan.
Nagbabalita mula sa frontline, Mon Gualvez, News 5.
And for updates on the preparations for the Feast of Jesus Nazareno, we have mobile journalist Francis Rivera. Francis, ano na ba yung mga iba pang ginagawa na paghahanda dyan ngayon?
Good morning, Angela and Angelo. Ngayon nga tuloy-tuloy yung ginagawang paglilinis at pag-aayos dito sa paligid ng Minor Basilica and National Shrine of Jesus Nazarene. Ikot ko lang kayo dito, Angela, kasi mula kahapon o mula kagabi ay pinaalis muna yung mga kapatid natin na nagtitinda dito. So hindi katulad kahapon na andito tayo may mga nagtitinda pa rin. Ngayon halos malinis na itong buong kahabaan ng Villalobos Street, maging yung doon sa may Carriedo Street. At ngayon nga nagkakaroon pa rin ng clearing operation dito sa harapan mismo ng simbahan. Ito nga yung dito sa may harapan nito yung nagwawash sila dito nung mga mula sa LGU ng Maynila. So kanya-kanya na sila ng walis at talaga namang pinapombahan na nila yung bawat corner na itong mga sahig dito sa harapan ng simbahan. At ganoon din, Angelo and Angela, tuloy-tuloy din naman yung ginagawa nilang pag-repaint sa mga poste dito sa harapan ng simbahan. At magpapatuloy nga raw yung ginagawa nilang pagsasaayos at paglilinis dito ngayon hanggang sa mga susunod pang mga oras. At inaasahan nga nila na nagsapa yung mga deboto nitong Jesus Nazareno maya-maya lamang o mamayang hapon hanggang gabi hanggang sa papalapit na pista nito. Angelo, Angela.
Okay, Francis, napansin ko na medyo mas napaaga yung clearing operations ng LGU ng Manila dyan. Katuwang nga ang mga pulis as compared last year. As wondering kung paano yun, hindi ba magbabalikan lang ulit yung mga nagtitinda dyan sa mga area kung saan nagkaroon ng clearing operations?
Yes, Angela, sinakausap nga natin yung mga kapulisan dito. Sila yung mga nakiusap doon sa mga kapatid nating nagtitinda, yung mga vendor na naandito kahapon. Sila naman daw maayos naman daw sila kinausap at maaari naman daw kasi sila bumalik matapos nga itong matapos lang itong fiesta na o makapasok yung anda sa loob ng simbahan. Maaari naman daw sila o papayagan naman na silang pumalik sa kanilang mga pwesto dito. Pero as of the moment, talagang mahigpit yung ginagawa nilang pagbabantay dito sa paligid ng simbahan at kasi actually lumuronda at talagang umiikot sila sa bawat street. Katulad nga na ito, no, may mga naka-standby na mga kapulisan dito. So medyo malabo kung babalik sila dito at magbebenta muli. So hintayin na nga lang, yun na nga lang at gusto nila, hintayin na lang matapos itong mga activities para sa pista ng Nazareno.
Francis, nag-announce na ba ang MMDA ng mga road closures for traslasyon?
Yes, Angelo, meron na tayong meron na tayong listahan ng mga road closure, no? That maaari nyo nga yung bisitahin sa page ng MMDA, pero magi-start 'yan simula ng January 8, no, 9 PM. So may implement na yung mga road closure. Kaya nangangabiso naman nila sa mga motorista humanap na ng mga alternatibong ruta para nga makaiwas doon sa mga saradong kalsada.
Okay, I believe tina-target ngayon ng Manila Police District na through NCRPO kahapon, sinasabi nila na gusto nilang mas iklian yung oras ng prosesyon, yung traslasyon.
So 15 hours daw.
Oo, parang hindi, actually 12 hours gusto sana nila, no. So how confident are they na magagawa ito? Gaano karaming deboto bang inaasahan nila sa Biyernes na lalahok nga dito sa traslasyon? And ano pa yung mga additional preparations na ginawa nila to be able to achieve the new target na oras nila para sa traslasyon?
Yes, Angela, kahapon naman nakausap natin yung spokesperson ng Translasyon 2026, si Father Robert Arellano. At pabor nga siya dito, no, na mas mapaikli sana yung oras din nung magiging translasyon for this year. Pero yun nga, since natapat din ng Friday, at alam naman natin pag Friday, kaya day, kaya mas dodoble ang bilang ng mga debotong dadalo. Kaya inaasahan nga nila kung hindi man mapaikli, sana maging safe na lang daw yung mga depotong dadalo para nga doon sa traslasyon sa Biyernes. At yan naman yung paalala ng pamunuan ng simbahan na hangga't maaari iwasan na lang yung pagsampa doon sa andas, at iwasan na lang din magdala ng mga bata para nga iwas magkasakitan at iwas mawala itong mga bata na dala nila.
Okay.
All right, thank you for your report, mobile journalist Francis Rivera.
Now, in other news, lawmakers are weighing a possible Supreme Court challenge on the 2026 national budget, even as Malacanang insists the measure is constitutional. Here's the report.
After President Bongbong Marcos signed the 6.7 trillion peso 2026 national budget into law, some lawmakers are already preparing to question its constitutionality before the Supreme Court. House Senior Deputy Minority Leader Edgar Erice insists that all items under unprogrammed appropriations are unconstitutional or illegal, saying these programs have no clear and direct funding source. Erice said he plans to file a petition before the Supreme Court within the week. Malacanang, for its part, said anyone has the right to file a petition, but the administration remains confident that the approved budget is constitutional.
May karapatan po sila na dumulog sa Korte Suprema at tanungin kung unconstitutional ang parte na to ng 2026 national budget. So, tignan naman po natin, of course, kapag po sila nag-file ng petition, sasagot naman po ang administrasyon at tignan na naman po natin kung ano magiging resulta at magiging desisyon ng Korte Suprema.
Despite the challenge, President Marcos and his administration remain confident that the approved version of the national budget will stand, especially in terms of its constitutionality.
Confident po sila na ang ginawa po ngayon na budget ay ang pinakamalinis, pinakamaayos, at ito'y para sa taong bayan. So confident po ang Pangulo.
7 items under unprogrammed appropriations were vetoed or removed by President Marcos, including more than 43 billion pesos worth of personal services requirements. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino criticized the move, saying nearly 260,000 job order workers could be affected, including around 41,000 professors from state universities and colleges, whom he said are being deprived of regular government employment. In response, the Commission on Higher Education said there may be limitations in hiring.
We may have limitation in increasing the number of enrollment natin. So, kung hindi magiging klaro ngayon yung hiring ng additional teaching and non-teaching staff, we can only admit or increase enrollment as many.
Malacanang also denied claims that salary increases and retirement benefits of teachers and uniformed personnel will be delayed due to the 2026 budget. The palace said the 24 billion peso fund for these benefits was not removed.
Inilipat lang ito sa tamang ahensya para sa mga diretso or mas diretso, mas mabilis at mas malinaw na paglabas ng benepisyo, lalo na para sa subsistence allowance ng uniformed personnel. Buong-buo ang sahod at salary increases. Ang salary increases ng kasalukuyang civilian employees at uniformed personnel ay nasa budgets ng mga kani-kanyang ahensya. Walang delay, walang bawas, walang mawawala.
And to give insights into the signed 2026 national budget, we have political strategist Malu Tikia. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for joining us again.
Good morning.
Ma'am, audio po.
Yeah, let's try that again. Good morning.
Good morning,
Yan.
Angela and Diego.
Yeah,
Magandang
thank
umaga
you.
sa inyong mga tagapakinig.
All right, well, we'd like to get your insights. First of all, let's start off, ma'am, with the 2026 budget. How confident are you that this is one of the best daw? And one of the cleanest, one of the best, cleanest, and most efficient crafted?
Siguro, Diego, yung best and cleanest, malalaman natin yan habang rino-roll out, ini-implement yung budget. Kasalukuyan, hindi pa natin nakikita. We haven't seen the final, the final GAA assigned. And DBM has not released the final veto message to Congress. So we need those things in order to finally check whether indeed it is the cleanest, no?
Yes.
When you say it's the cleanest, by document probably, but nakita naman natin in 2025, it was the implementation that got the worst part of the deal.
Oo. Okay, so ang pinag-uusapan dito talaga yung unprogrammed funds na for others, yung critics na nagsasabi, pampalubag-loob lang daw, no? Because anything under any form of unprogrammed funds or appropriations ay unconstitutional. So si Congressman Erice is going to challenge it before the Supreme Court. What do you have to say to that?
I agree with Congressman Erice. Finally, let's put to stop the legislation of unprogrammed appropriations. Ano ba yung unprogrammed appropriations? Ito ay walang revenue measure. Tatandaan natin, ang budget natin is 6.8 trillion. Ang revenue na magpopondo dito ay 5.26 trillion. So may kakulangan. So paano mo mapupuno yung unprogram kung ang revenue measures mo ay ganoon, no? Pangalawa, ang program rini-release lamang kung napopondohan.
Yes.
Wala namang certification from the Treasury na nagsasabi ito ang katapat na pondo niyan. So nag-agree ako doon sa pag-test nung unprogram. Nagsimula ang unprogram ng 1989, nung panahon ni Presidente Cory Aquino. Napakaliit lamang noon. Pero lumaki at lumala ito noong 2025.
We spoke yesterday, ma'am, with Congress. Was it yesterday, no?
Yes, it's
Congressman
Valeriano.
Valeriano, and we asked him about his of course, yung take niya on unprogrammed funds. Sabi niya, he's for the unprogrammed funds to remain there. Case in point, sabi niya, pag nagkaroon ng emergency, beyond yung, for example, calamity funds, mas maganda naka-ready na daw yung unprogrammed funds para hahanapan na lang ng pondo kesa maghihintay pa daw, I think he said October, para magkaroon ng supplemental budget.
here.
So ano po yung take nyo doon?
Alam mo, Diego, mas gugustuhin ko magkaroon ng supplemental budget. Kasi by that time, alam mo kung meron bang revenues, meron bang pondo o wala. Pangalawa, hindi naman totoo na yung pag nagkaroon ng disaster, walang pondo. Sa kasulukuyang budget, merong 3.6 billion na para sa risk. Yun yung isa sa hindi vinito ng Pangulo. Pangatlo, ang presidente ay may confidential and intelligence fund. Yung intelligence fund, din naman yan subject sa COA. Karamihan ng presidente, pag nagkaroon ng disaster, yung intelligence fund ang binubunutan ng pondo para mapondohan. So, kung tama ang iyong paggastos, tama ang iyong pag-release, hindi mo ginagamit ang pondo ng bayan para sa patronage politics. Meron at meron na pondo para dyan sa mga disasters.
Tsaka isa pa ho po na nabanggit is, for example, yung mga defense or aid assistance, foreign aid assistance, like in terms of military equipment and units na hindi daw na-announce naman kaagad at the start of the year. Minsan biglaan na lang sasabihin ng US, meron kaming surplus, baka gusto nyo kunin. Paano daw pag ganun, maghihintay na naman daw ng, of course, yung sinasabi niya, magkaroon sang supplemental budget para sa mga ganun pong scenario.
Diego, mabuti na banggit mo yung sa modernization ng AFP,
Yes.
no? Isa sa mga line item na hindi niya vinito ay yung Revised Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization. Ang total niyan 50 billion, no?
Yeah.
Pero ang kakatawa, meron tinatawag na SRF, kung saan ginagamit yung standby yung fund na yun, no? Kung saan gagamitin rin para sa AFP modernization. So technically, ang AFP modernization received 90 billion. So hindi totoo yan sinasabi ni Congressman Valeroso, baka hindi niya alam ang pahina ng budget at kung paano nagawa yon, dahil meron na pondo para doon, no? Ang nalulungkot lamang ako, at ito ay minention ni Senator Gatchalian kahapon, dalawang line items para sa foreign assisted projects ay kinancel. Yun ay pambayad sa utang natin sa dalawang Japanese companies na kailangan bayaran, utang yun no?
Yes.
Hindi ko alam kung polisiya ng gobyerno na hindi na tayo magbabayad ng utang. Masama yun kasi kaya nung sinimulan ko, may budget, may revenue, may kakulangan. Which means uutang tayo.
Yes.
So kung yung dalawang item na yon na vinito ay kasama sa veto ay hindi mare-restore o hindi
Mabibigyan ng pondo.
Papaltan, i-bypass yung veto ng Kongreso, lalabas na meron tayong kinauutangan na hindi natin mababayaran. Ang alarming doon, no? Parang wala na ang Build Better More. Bakit? Kasi alam mo, ang infrastructure is multiplier effect yan.
Yeah.
So kung yung foreign assisted projects, ilan lamang yung inaprubahan, pa-delay ng pa-delay, yung mga nasimulan na hindi matatapos by the end of his term, na kailangang ayusin ng susunod na administration. Kasi tinan mo yung subway, yung North Rail,
Yes,
so lahat yan nakaambang gumagalaw, pero pag nawalan ng pondo, titigil. Paano yung commitment natin sa international community?
Right. And yun nga po, ang isang concern nga din po ni Senator Win Gatchalian dyan ay makamalaman nga daw ng buong mundo that we have already promised pero hindi natin yun tinupad. So I was wondering, ma'am, no, kung ito po ay vinito nga ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, ibig sabihin po ba hindi ito kasama sa kanyang mga priority list at hindi niya po...
Lumalabas ganun, Angela, no, na iba yung priority niya. Kaya nga ang sabi ko, babalik ulit tayo sa NEP, titingnan natin yung GAA na napasa, na iba ba yung direksyon. Kasi lumaki na naman yung dun sa mga tinatawag na soft pork. Yung mga AIX, di ba? Tupad, lumaki yan, MAIF. Kaya kung titingnan mo dun sa breakdown, number 1 ang education sa 1.7 trillion, the biggest. Pero kung titingnan mo, ano ba ang nagawa last year ng sektor na yan? 22 school buildings. So sabi ko nga, kung gagamitin talaga ng maayos yung 1.7 trillion, apart from the salaries and benefits, no? Apart from the feeding program na nakasama doon, siguro kailangan natin mag-produce ng 10 classrooms per month para makuha natin yung 120,000
Yes, oo.
by the year. Ang kakulangan natin ay 170.
Right.
So, is the 1.7 trillion really protected that we can implement this? Kasi compared dun sa flood control projects, lahat yun nakikita eh.
Yeah.
Pag nagbabaha, nakikita natin kung saan. Ang school building project, hindi natin nakikita. Makikita lamang yon nung mga residente dun sa lugar na yon na, nagkaroon kami ng bagong school building. So, kaya kailangan ang taong bayan patuloy ang engagement, pagtingin dun sa rollout ng budget kasi dun lumalabas yung mga problema.
Exactly.
Sa usapin naman po, ma'am, about yung, of course, medyo controversial about guarantee letters. When you ask them, parang they don't know po kung ano yung final implementing rules and regulations ito. Kasi guarantee letters, wala na daw, pero hindi daw nila mapipigilan kung may recommendation letter. Pero ang point kasi nito, yung budget ng hospital na eh. So parang discretion dapat ng hospital na lang. So pag lumalabas ng recommendation, baka i-prioritize ng hospital, ito, recommend ni congressman to.
Diego, alam mo, totoo yung sinasabi mo kasi sa implementasyon, kunyari mahirap ka, pumasok ka sa government hospitals, pagkatapos nagpa-opera ka o kung ano, hindi mo kayang bayaran, usually guarantee letter eh.
Yes.
Iba pa yung may rekomendasyon ang congressman, magpapa-check up ito, i-deduct mo sa pondo ko.
Yes.
So napaka-labo pa kung paano i-implement yung walang guarantee letter. Siguro tingnan natin kasi nakagawian na yan ng Kongreso na may guarantee letter para sa isang constituent bago pa matanggap. Ngayon, kung ikaw ay nandun na sa system at hindi ka makapagbayad, ang hihingan ni Juan de la Cruz ay ang politiko nila.
Yes.
So babalik na naman tayo dun sa guarantee letter.
Oo,
No?
nga
Structurally, maraming kailangan i-reform dito sa implementation ng malinis na budget. Ang problema, wala namang implementing rules and regulation. Kahit yun dun sa AFP modernization, hindi nila sinama yung ano ba yung purchase natin? Ano ba ang priority natin? Wala, hindi nakalakip. Kaya sabi ko nga, the sooner na ma-print yung GAA at mailabas yung veto message, mas maayos para sa advocates na matingnan talaga.
Tama ka, dugtong ko lang konti, no? Tama ka doon, ma'am, yung sinabi niya about yung defense, no? Hindi naka-define kung ano yung track na tatahakin ng AFP in terms of how will they modernize sa Navy, sa Air Force, or sa ground. Very similar po, ma'am, sa flood control na wala rin master plan yung sinusundan. If you look at the budget, there is no definite guide on how the Philippines is to progress. Parang every year, bahala na, case to case na lang.
Yeah. Ay sinusuyod ko nga yung special provisions, wala akong makita eh. Kaya sabi ko, nako, siguro depende ito sa ahensya. So, kung ahensya yan at reform-minded yung iyong kalihim, probably they will be coming up with some guidelines. But if your secretary is, you will just do whatever comes out, it may not be good for the malinis na budget.
Doon po kasi dugtong ko lang din po doon sa pinag-uusapan nyo kanina na guarantee letter. Nakalagay po kasi doon sa budget when they are crafting it, there's no specific prohibition pagdating nga po sa guarantee letter. Pero may nung nakalagay naman doon sa mga anti-EPAL campaign na sa distribution ng mga ayuda, bawal na mga politiko doon, no? Bawal na yung mga presence sila, etc. But do you think, kasi they can always do that naman eh. Kasi, di ba? Parang kumbaga, kung words lang naman ang pag-uusapan, I believe they are very capable of thinking of the words. So do you think na they are trying to hide from technicality by not putting it specifically in the prohibition doon sa kanilang when crafting the budget pagdating sa guarantee letter?
Well, clearly, the point that such items are not declared in the budget, that is already contrary to transparency, no? Kasi yan the most important law that Congress passes is the GAA. So lahat yan sinusuyod. So yung tanong mo, Angela, oo, may problema tayo doon dahil hindi alam. At pag hindi alam at hindi klarado, subject yan sa interpretation ng kung sino-sino.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, no, yung kanina pinag-uusapan natin ang program appropriations, yun po yung mga na-veto lamang ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, and these are yung mga, kumbaga, budget na wala pa naman talagang funding, no, like what you said earlier. Pero doon po sa mismong budget natin, 6.7 trillion pesos, wala po doong na-veto yung Pangulo, yun po talaga yung may mga na-allotted na budget. Sa tingin niyo po ba doon sa mismong budget natin, may nakakita po kayong mga red flags na dapat po talagang napagtuunan din ng pansin?
Tingnan natin yung top agencies na nakakuha. Yung
Education.
DepEd, DOH, DA,
Yeah.
and DSWD. So lahat ito mga frontliner agencies, no? When I say frontliner, talagang may impact sa taong bayan. So it is incumbent upon the present secretaries, and I heard there will be 9 secretaries who will be, there'll be a toss again in the cabinet. 9 secretaries are said to be leaving. So we really need to see how this thing will roll out. The oversight is very important. When I say oversight, congressional oversight, no? Because the claim that DepEd got the highest in history, and that is a fact, has to be guarded consciously by everyone, because that's a huge allocation.
Saka ma'am, ata yung sa DepEd, no, kaya lumaki rin daw because most of the dati na pumupunta sa DPWH for construction, parang binalik lang sa DepEd na, which is not really naman their function. So in essence,
alam mo, yes. At dyan pumapasok yung school building.
Yes.
Diba? So would the school building be another flood control mess? I hope it doesn't become, because this is education, and parati kong sinasabi nung ako'y naging university president, dapat ang edukasyon ilabas sa korupsyon. Kasi ito yung may impact talaga sa taong bayan.
But won't this affect, ma'am, how DepEd will manage the quality of education now we are lagging behind in?
Yes. Alam mo, ang problema dyan, Diego, that's a very good question. Ang problema dyan, trifocal ang education natin. There is DepEd handling primary to secondary. There is CHED, no? And hindi nag-uusap-usap yan eh. So si DepEd, si CHED at saka si TESDA, hindi nag-uusap-usap yan. Kaya nga merong panukala na ibalik sa dati na isa na lang ahensya para nakikita mo kung where some things fall under the crack na hindi naman maaasahan kasi independent from each other. Maraming reforms both from EDCOM 1 and EDCOM 2 about education. I don't know if that was inputted in the 1.7 trillion. That's why I want to see it. In terms of health, ito yung questionable na ibinalik daw yung 60 billion. Hindi. Nag-allocate ng bagong pondo. Diba? Yun nga yung debate, no? Ang sabi ng Supreme Court, ibalik. Return. Very clear yon. So yung return dapat from the savings ng 2025 or from yung itong mga nagbalik ng pera. Hindi ko maintindihan kung saan itong mga sabaha. Saan dinala yung pera? Ang dali mong ibalik yung 60 billion sa PhilHealth. Ngayon, kaya tumaas ang PhilHealth. Hindi naman totoo yung sinasabi na second ang PhilHealth sa taas dahil sa kagustuhan nilang malusog ang Pilipino, ayun ay yung 60 billion na kinuha nila. So artificial yung bump ng PhilHealth.
That's a good point,
Yeah, so yun yung mga problematic. Nakita natin si PDIC na under ng Bangko Sentral ng
Yes.
Pilipinas, even si BSP is thinking of going to the Supreme Court to get the 107 billion returned to them. And that is crucial because that is the backbone of our banking industry. Pag nagkaroon ng bank run, asan ang insurance mo?
Yes.
Diba? So ang daming mga ginawa nung 2025 just to put together a lump sum which was used for political ends. So sana itong 2026, na sila na rin naman ang nagsabi na malinis na budget, ay magpakatotoo sila kasi kawawa ang taong bayan.
Yeah.
Okay, doon po sa sinasabi ni Senator Amy Marcos na may pork pa rin at giniling daw yon, no? Pinagpunta-punta kung saan-saan pero meron pa rin, mataba pa rin, and she feels and she thinks na gagamitin daw po ito sa pagsasampa, no, ng impeachment complaint against VP Sara.
Alam mo, Angela, ako ang pakiusap ko sa administrasyon, tigilan na natin itong mga politika muna. Ayusin natin ang bansa natin. Ayusin natin ang serbisyo publiko, maging transparent at maging accountable. Pero nag-agree ako dun kay Senator Marcos, no? Talagang giniling. Sa liit, hindi mo na alam kung anong uring pork yun. Alam natin, may soft pork, may hard pork.
Yeah.
Ang unprogrammed appropriation, tinatawag na nila ngayon as shadow pork. No? Lahat naman yan, inalis ng Supreme Court. So, pag giniling, hindi masyadong tinitingnan ng tao kasi maliit yung sum compared sa lump sum.
Yes.
Kaya yun ang nakakatakot kasi kung gaano kapino ang giling, ganun ang kawalang accountability.
Oo. Mabilis na lang po, ma'am, kasi yung isa pa pong issue dito, yung allocables. Gusto po nila sana mapublicize itong allocables ng DPWH and of course ng senators and congressmen. Unfortunately, hindi daw. But according to Congressman Valeriano yesterday, sabi niya, it's available naman. Anytime if you need it, you can just get the document. Is that really true?
Ay, hindi yan totoo, ha? Yun nga ang little committee. Hanggang ngayon, hindi nila pinipresent yung
Small
dokumento.
committee,
Yan pang allocables. Alam mo, yung allocables, tulad rin ng little committee. Kaya nila ayaw ilabas kasi yung
Doon magkakaalaman
yung proponent.
Oo.
Diba? Doon sa little committee, may proponent. Nakita natin kung, sinabi ni Congressman Toby Chanco, ito, malalaki. Doon sa allocables, hindi naman pantay-pantay yun eh. Hindi equitable.
Yeah.
Kaya nga ako, parati kong sinasabi doon sa mga kaibigan natin sa Kongreso, siguro napapanahon na gumawa kayo ng formula.
Oo.
Kung ini-insist nyo parating may pork barrel at sinabi na ng saligang batas, bawal yan, gumawa kayo ng formula
Right.
na probably iti-take into consideration mo yung population, land area, di ba?
Yeah.
Meron naman tayo niyan sa Internal Revenue Allotment. Meron population, land area, at saka yung common, equitable. So, gumawa tayo ng formula para kahit yung mga pork, may formula na ilalagay sa GAA. Or, the other option is really pass an infrastructure budget with a term of 3 years. So that, lahat ng infrastructure, ilagay mo na doon. Mga congressman, wag na kayo dyan sa infrastructure, sa legislation na kayo.
Exactly.
Para yung tatlo, kita lahat ng tao, ay sa distrito ko, ito ang kakuan. At natitigil natin yung, dahil nag-cross ng district jurisdiction, yung kalsada nag-iiba, nararamdaman niyo yan pag
kaya may
dumaan
mga
kayo sa daan.
may parking fee pa.
Diba? Kaya siguro napapanahon na kasi hindi naman natin sila
Okay, nawala. Kung kailan pa ending na. Alright.
But very good points, yung sa PhilHealth, saka yung sa formula for the allocables, yung pork.
Yes, ma'am. Balikan natin. Mabilisan na lang.
yun,
You were saying, yeah.
Dun sa formula ng allocable, siguro i-explore natin para yung mahihirap na district, hindi mo naman pwedeng sa NCR binibigay lahat yan at sa Luzon. Yung mahihirap, nade-develop. Diba? Yun nga ang reason ng pork barrel. Kung titingnan natin noong 1987, nung binalik yan, ang pork barrel, kaya equitable, pareho, at kung masipag ka, you get an extra, para sa development ng districts.
Alright.
May hindi naman nangyari yan, lalo lumala.
Oh, well, sabi nga nila, pag gusto, maraming paraan. But we'll see.
That's right.
Titignan natin, tulad ng nasabi niyo, Mama, no, yung implementation nito ang mahalaga. On that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras and of course sa inyong insights, political strategist, Malu Tikia. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat.
Mabanggit ko lang yung sinabi niya, nag-iiba-iba yung kalye. Totoo yan, ha? Meron na city dito sa Metro Manila, if you drive it, around the circumferential road exits, no? Meron dyan na kalye, I think 4 lanes wide sa isang district ng isang city. Hindi ko na sabihin anong city. Paglipat mo sa second district niya, naging 2 lanes, nag-imbudo. Pero it's still the same national road. Nagkaroon ng ibang laki because nagkaiba ang distrito. So iba siguro yung proponent.
Iba yung proponent.
Oo.
Alright, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Senate Finance Committee Chair Sherwin Gatchalian defended the recently approved 2026 national budget, dismissing allegations that its passage lacked transparency. On the big story, Gatchalian said the budget deliberations were open to public scrutiny and underwent extensive debate in the bicameral conference committee. Meanwhile, he raised concerns over several items vetoed in the budget, including the CARS program, RAISE program, and the government's required share for some foreign-assisted projects. Gatchalian warned that slashing these funds could undermine the government's ability to fulfill its commitments and sustain the implementation of ongoing projects.
If you listen to the budget hearings of the DTI, and you will hear it there from no less than the Secretary and the BOI pleading that let's pay the investors, let's pay Toyota and Mitsubishi because nakakaya, una. Pangalawa, it's our reputation on the line. How can we attract investors to set up shop? To set up a factory here if we cannot honor our commitments. So it was them who pleaded. That's why we included it at least in the program because it's a non-cash allocation.
At this point, let's check the situation over at the Senate. We have mobile journalist Merimon Reyes on the ground. Merimon, what's happening right now sa Senado?
Angelo, good morning. So far dito sa Senado ngayon, yung plenary sessions mababalik yan na by January 26 and wala pang currently scheduled na committee hearings. Pero mamaya around the 11:30 a.m. magkakaroon naman ng online na press conference si Senator Amy Marcos patungkol sa recently posted niya rin na video and yung kanyang sinasabi na itong 2026 national budget meron pa rin daw mga pork barrel o kaya kahit daw giniling. Ang natatawag niya kasi dito, giniling dahil nakakalat ito pero lumalabas pa rin siya na pork barrel. Yung ilan kasi sa kine-question ng senadora, yung sa farm to market roads na from 16 billion pesos naging 33 billion pesos ang alokasyon nito sa budget. Kasama na rin dyan yung sa unprogrammed appropriations, kine-question din ng senadora. At pero ang sinasabi dito ni Finance Chair Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, sure siya na wala na raw na pork barrel free na at hindi na raw maaabuso ang pondo dahil sa safeguards na in-establish. Kasama na dyan, number 1, technical descriptions, yung station numbers, and yung pinaka-coordinates ng mga proyekto. Number 2, yung monthly oversight na bubuo dyan yung Congressional Oversight Committee na every month titignan nila yung spending, possible underspending or overspending ng mga ahensya when it comes to the implementation of their projects. Pati na rin yung sinasabi transparency efforts, pag-upload ng mga dokumento sa portals at pagsisiguro na yung natitira sa unprogrammed appropriations targeted na ang alokasyon nito.
Okay, so I heard about that news sinabi ni Senator Win Gatchalian tungkol sa pagbabantay nga ng pondo because sinasabi nga natin dito na mahalagang makita natin paano implementation nitong budget because hindi nagtatapos sa pagpirma nga nitong budget. Pero ang tanong dito, ibig sabihin ba nun over the past years hindi binabantayan, hindi chine-check monthly yung mga government projects?
Actually, Angela, part talaga yan nung kung ano yung proseso o sistema, especially dito sa Kongreso, lalo na kapag kabubuin na yung budget for the coming year. Kaya ang sinasabi dito ni Senator Sherwin, ang plano nila ngayon, mas pagtibayin yung pagbabantay, yung transparency efforts, plus yung Kadena Act, ito yung ilalagay na on digital spaces na lahat ng dokumento, especially related sa mga pinansyal na kontrata, na arrangements, na mga proyekto dito sa pamahalaan. And then, ang sinasabi rin dito ni Senator Sherwin is yung kanilang gagawin na yung Congressional Committee Oversight na to, ito'y para masiguro din talaga na on a monthly basis, mas may establish talaga nila na babantayan na nila kung itong mga ahensya ba ay nagagastos ng maayos at nai-implement ng maayos yung kanilang mga proyekto. Pero kasama dito yung kanilang plano na rin na 2 months earlier na yung pagbubuo nila or yung pag-aayos nila ng panukalang pondo ng bansa. So for example, for the 2026 national budget at 2027 national budget, instead na hintayin pa nila 30 days after ng SONA ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos yung NEP, tinitingnan nila kung pwedeng mapaaga pa ng a month or 2 para masimulan agad at hindi na maging matagal yung proseso na inaabot before the year ends bago malinis, maplansya at mapirmahan ng Pangulo. So ito yung ilan sa mga bagong transparency effort na ginagawa nila para mas masiguro talaga na from yung pagbubuo ng budget hanggang sa pagsasapasan nito at implementasyon nito, tuloy-tuloy na raw talaga na magiging malilinis ang paggamit nito.
Well, of course, titingnan natin yan in the implementing stage nga. Ano? Pero ang tanong din dito, meron maiba ako, kamusta na? May balita na ba kay Senator Bato de la Rosa?
Finding Bato daw till now
Oo.
Nako, so far wala rin pa. Yung pinakahuli talaga nakita natin sa Senator Bato, yung bago mag-adjourn for undas break ang sesyon dito sa Senado. Even yung ibang mga senador, walang nasasabi pa tungkol dito. Sila Senator Armin, sabi nila wala rin pa raw silang alam talaga sa kung nasaan at kung ano yung pinagkakaabalahan ng senador ngayon. Huling nasabi rin ni SP Soto, wala rin daw communication whatsoever. Kay Senator Sherwin, hanggang doon sa katapusan ng BICAM, walang naging pagpaparamdam ang senador except lang sa kanyang staff, sa kanyang opisina na nanatiling in operation. Tulad ngayon, regular operations na ang senador, ang Senado, so lahat ng mga opisina dito, business as usual, pero para kay Senator Bato, hanggang sa araw na ito, wala pa siyang pagpaparamdam.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong ulat, mobile journalist Merymon Reyes.
Evacuations are now underway as Mayon volcano experiences an effusive magmatic eruption. Here is the report.
PHIVOLCS has raised alert level 3 over Mount Mayon. Video monitoring on Tuesday showed thick smoke around the volcano and emissions of pyroclastic density current or USON up to 2 kilometers from the crater. In an interview with Storycon, PHIVOLCS Director Teresito Bacolco said the volcano is currently experiencing an effusive magmatic eruption.
There is a ongoing magmatic eruption, but it's just ongoing, but it's an effusive eruption. This involves lava dome growth at the summit ng vulkan, and there is an increased likelihood of hazardous volcanic activity such as lava flows, pyroclastic density currents, rock falls, and possible explosive eruptions within days or weeks.
Residents, especially those within the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone, are being ordered to evacuate. This zone covers parts of Legazpi, Ligao, Tabaco, Daraga, Ginobatan, Kamalig, Malilipot, Bakakay, and Santo Domingo. In Kamalig, the municipality closest to Mayon Summit, evacuations have already begun. PHIVOLCS also warns nearby provinces, including Sorsogon and Masbate, of possible ashfall. Heavy rains could also trigger lahar flows.
Sumunod po sila sa evacuation plan ng LGUs nila. And kapag may ash or may sulfur dioxide, then they have to wear face mask kasi nga that would protect the face mask would protect themselves lalo na kapag may respiratory problem sila.
Ayun, buti na banggitin yung face mask, no? Kasi kahit out of danger zone ka, you're within the perimeter daw of yung boundary ng danger zone, pero you're safe from any impact, physical impact. Meron pa rin yung threat ng yung sa hangin, sulfur dioxide. If you remember, kailan ba yun? Right before the pandemic, I think is 2020, umabot yung ashfall sa...
Sa ano naman yun? Sa Batangas?
Oo,
galing
sa Taal. No, I'm just saying because the wind's carrying it. Dito nga sa Mayon daw, binabantayan nila if there are movements sa wind. That's why Pag-asa is looking at it. Pero mukhang For now, okay pa tayo. Oh.
But if you can remember, I think same time last year, ganito din eh. Nakabantay din tayo dito sa Mayon Volcano. And I was able to talk to the governor, I think last week ata, before siya naging alert level 3, alert level 2 pa yon. So may mga contingency plans na sila. Of course na inalis na yung mga kababayan natin within the permanent danger zone. Binawalan muna yung mga areas, yung mga tourist attractions doon. Pero yun nga, I was able to point out yung yung question natin all the time pagdating dito sa mga ganitong bagay, yung pagre-resettle doon sa mga kababayan natin. Oo, para every time na magkakaroon ng ganitong insidente, yung baka sakaling pumutok ang Mayon Volcano, ay hindi na sila kumbaga i-re-evacuate. So I was asking baka naman may plano na this time around ang local government ng Albay to resettle nga yung mga natin dyan, yung mga kababayan natin, para hindi na sila pabalik-balik. Kasi every time na lang na nagkakaroon ng ganyan, yung mga pagbabanta ng pagsabog, ang syempre greatly naapektuhan dyan yung mga naninirahan within the area.
Siguro yung immediate danger zone sa perimeter ng Mayon Volcano, yun ang madaling
yun, wala na talaga
kasi
yun.
Wala doon eh.
Oo,
pero yung sinasabi nilang yung
kasi 6-kilometer danger zone yan. Tapos yung susunod, di ko na alam kung ilang...
Hindi, yung sa 8 kasi,
8 muna, tapos
ang mahirap
12,
dyan
diba?
is malawak masyado yung perimeter. If ililipat mo yan, baka you have to relocate to a different, not province, but maybe a different barangay, a different city. And alam mo naman,
pero
some people, ayaw nila umalis.
Yung sabi ni Governor, sinabi niya, political will talaga yan. Because yung iba, ayaw nilang paalisin because these are voters as well. And then on the other side of the fence naman, ayaw ng ibang mga residente because of their livelihood.
O kasi nandun ang farm nila, business nila, or
So, kailangan talagang
doon na
holistic
silang
approach.
matagal na tumira.
Alright, in other news, some parts of Catanduanes experienced heavy rainfall on Tuesday, January 6. Flooding and mud flow were reported in barangays Moning and Ginsaanan in the municipality of Baras. Meanwhile, Pag-asa said that the northeast monsoon, easterlies, and a shear line continue to affect the country. As of this time, no low pressure area is being monitored inside the Philippine territory.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
The counsel of the late DPWH USEC Catalina Cabral denies claims that she deliberately skipped an ICI subpoena, insisting she was ready to cooperate. Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos with the details.
She is committed to cooperate to ferret the truth. That is the statement of the counsel of the late DPWH Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral after reports circulated that she deliberately skipped the subpoena of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure. That is for a supposed hearing on December 15 last year, the Commission's final hearing before the year ended. In a letter addressed to ICI Chairperson Andres Reyes Jr., Cabral's counsel argued that she was not informed of the hearing and that she did not receive any communication, let alone the purported subpoena from the ICI. They also stressed that Cabral already appeared before the Commission in September 2025, where through her counsel asked the Commission if she was still needed to reappear but was told to just await a subpoena. It can be recalled that on a press conference on December 11, the ICI has confirmed that it has issued a subpoena to Cabral with the need to get more information from her. It was December 9 when they coursed the subpoena through DPWH, saying it is the Commission's procedure in inviting the involved present and former officials and personnel. On Tuesday, ICI Executive Director Brian Kitosaka clarified the Independent Commission for Infrastructure would have invited the late Undersecretary Cabral again to its succeeding hearings, especially with her willingness to appear as manifested in her lawyer's letter. However, they were overtaken by events with the resignation of two of their commissioners and by the death of Undersecretary Cabral. But 4 days after her supposed appearance to the ICI, former DPWH Undersecretary Cabral was found lifeless 20 to 30 meters along Cannon Road in Tupa, Benguet. But before her passing, her counsel May Vinagracia said in an interview that Cabral showed them 6 boxes of documents that might contain relevant information regarding budget insertions. The boxes are yet to be found. Cabral is among the central figures linked to the anomalous flood control projects where she served as the DPWH Undersecretary for Planning and Public-Private Partnership. Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Retired Air Force Major General Romeo Poquis denied inciting to overthrow of the government, saying his social media posts only expressed public frustration over widespread corruption. His remarks came after he was arrested on January 5 at NAIA Terminal 3 over an inciting to sedition case and later released on a 48,000 peso bail. In an interview with 1PHS sa Totoo Lang, Poquis described the charges as harassment and intimidation. He added that the case seemed aimed at silencing those speaking out against corruption in the country, not just targeting him personally.
Sa amin, ako at saka mga lawyers ko at ang grupo ng United People's Initiative ay naniniwala na itong kasong ito ay isang pananakot, isang pangharas o panggigipit sa amin para hindi kami magpahayag ng mga sentimiento o yung mga magprotesta dyan sa mga matinding corruption na yan.
In sports, Filipina tennis star Alex Ayala pulled off a major upset at the ASB Classic in New Zealand, rallying from a set down to defeat Olympian Donna Vekic in the round of 32. Ayala outlasted the Paris 2024 silver medalists 4-6, 6-4, 6-4 to advance to the round of 16, backed by a strong showing from Filipino fans in Auckland. The 20-year-old will next face Croatian Petra Marcinko as she continues her strong start to the 2026 season.
Yan, mukhang si Alex,
No way but up.
Oh, on the way. She opened the year number 53. Oo, and
So
that's
by doing this,
historically highest na for Filipina.
for Filipina.
I don't know for
Sure,
Asia
bakit
kasi
akit pa
may
siya
mga
because
Asia.
of the current
Basta every round na nag-a-advance siya, whether it's in
Bakit?
doubles or sa singles, every round, tumataas yung ranking. But every round na mahirap makakuha ng ranking. It's not that easy. Every round naman sa isang open na hindi ka nag-a-advance. Kunyari, you lose to a person that's lower rank than you, pwede kang bumaba yung rank mo din. Kaya ganun kahirap po, hindi ganun kadali.
Pero
makuha
tumaas
ng
ba
53.
siya ng, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know this much tumaas ba siya ng few steps nung natalo niya si Venus Williams? Because si Venus, di ba?
Doubles yun. Wala pang
Wala yun.
After the tournament, kasi hindi pa naman tapos Wala pa naman, may counting naman ng doubles. It's just that hindi pa tapos tong tournament. And the rankings and the points they earn from the tournament will come after when it ends. Kasi every round you advance, may certain points ka nakukuha. And the points determine what rank you are in the world.
Pero yun nga, historic yung win din niya against Venus Williams because Venus is already
Oo, yung
veteran
doubles.
yun
Double. Actually, dalawa silang...
Yun na bata.
Dalawang bata, kalaban nila, dalawang legend. Oo. So, it was a good win.
Pero as I would always say nga, di ba, in any industry naman, yun ang lagi mong pangarap, yung makasama mo, makatunggali mo, yung legend in that industry. Di ba? So,
Galing.
yun lang.
Buti lang, katabi kita, may katabi akong legend.
Ikaw yung legend.
Hindi ako legend, ako, antique.
Antique ka, oo. Matini.
Ay, nako, matinik. Alright, that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Wala kang quote.
Ito. Tomorrow, I will resume my quotes, pero I'm collating a series of quotes for the new year.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsan Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. Kapatid, we are One News.
All sides, all the time.